Welcome back. Now, everyone is gearing towards the 2027 elections, politicians, political parties, and even the citizens. So we're still on the topic of 2027 political build-up, and we're looking at the new coalitions. In the studio with me this morning is Dr. Malachi Ochie. He's the Dean, School of Business and Social Sciences, Maduka University, Ekwebe, Nsukka. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you here again.
Thank you very much.
Now, what is your opinion, seeing, what is playing out, how, everyone is preparing for the 2027 elections? We are seeing issues with coalitions, some disputes and struggles and all of that. So what do you think about how everything is playing out?
Well, first of all, there is nothing unusual about this kind of traffic, especially in the build-up to the 2027 elections. It's all indicative of the fact that the politicians are alive to their politicking. The citizens are also becoming more enlightened. They are becoming more politically aware. They are now even debating whether the current administration is what it sought and what all its promises. So there is always that urge, especially as we approach election year, for politicians to reassess their strategies, come together, build alliances. Those alliances could crumble. They could also manifest and so on. But basically, the build-up to the 2027 election in Nigeria is an indication that all is not well. 2027 election will be a watershed that will define the continued existence of Nigeria or not, because there are so many things going wrong in the system, and the oppositions, as it were, trying to say, let's come together and then present a common front. As to whether that will happen or not is a totally different ballgame. As to whether the present government will bulldoze its way into power again in 2027 is a different ballgame. But the point is that in Nigeria, political coalition is not new. It started even in the First Republic. And in the First Republic, we have what you may call the United Progressive Grand Alliance, that is UPGA. And in 1979, we also had a coalition. During the SDP, NRC, then the political, we had a coalition. All these coalition, for instance, Alliance for Democracy is a product of coalition. And we saw Olu Falaye running on a joint ticket of APC and ADC, and so on. So this coalition is not anything out of the ordinary. It is something that has been there in Nigerian political history. But why do politicians, in the build-up to elections, why do they form alliances? Why do they come to form coalitions to unseat the current or the current administration as at the time? Why? It all boils down to elitism. It all boils down to elitism. This is elite circulation in power. And some elites feel that they have been played out of relevance. They come together. It happened in the PDP with the formation of the new PDP and so on. Some elite feel we have been skimmed out of the scheme of things, and then we have to reassess our strength and then come together and build a new force of recognition. But at the end of the day, there is a major fault in coalition building, especially under the assumption of elitism. That disconnect, that fundamental problem, is the disconnect between elitist assumptions of power and connecting with the ordinary people. Whose agenda are they pursuing? Are they pursuing the agenda of the masses? So because of that disconnect between the political leaders and the people, all the promises, all the things they say they will do when they get in power, you see they will not do them because they didn't emanate from the people. It was just a power game of relevance. We see that with the formation of the APC to unseat President Goodluck Jonathan. We saw that. And there were 172 electoral promises by the APC under the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. But we know in Nigeria that after 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari's presidency, less than 1% of those promises were met. So the social security scheme that government promised, we are still to see it today. So when you talk about social security, don't talk about social security in terms of fund disbursement. You talk about social security in terms of structures, sustainable structures that will guarantee steady source of livelihood opportunities, steady source of income, and so on. If you give every Nigerian today 1 million naira, in the next 1 week, they will burn it off. So it's not fund distribution. And then we don't need to talk about the issue of corruption, probably, for now. So the issue of coalition, yes, it's been there. As to what will happen is a difficult projection. But there are other factors underlying the current alignment, realignment, agreements and disagreements, and so on. And whether any coalition could work against, could be provide, serious and functional opposition to the government in power. Is there any reason for the coalition? What are the probable dangers to such coalition? So on these things, need to be explained so that Nigerians, in a bid to unseat Tinubu, will not make the same mistake they make over years.
All right, but speaking of coalitions now, we can see some form of internal crisis, serious internal crisis, particularly in PDP.
Yes.
And would you say that it's a sign of the party breaking under its own way? Do you think, that the PDP can realistically form a coalition, when it can't even unite its own members?
Well, the PDP, the crisis in PDP, as in other parties, APC is not experiencing what PDP is experiencing now because they control the central government. Once they don't control the central government uses its power of incumbency. Because Nigerian politicians are not ideologically based, they are butter and bread politicians. So you see them migrating from one party to the other and so on. So PDP's problem is not an isolated case. And the current federal government, the current party in power, has all to gain to sustain the crisis in PDP. And the crisis in PDP are imposed. They are external forces creating the problem in PDP. And there are molds in PDP who pretend to be PDP kingmakers, but they are actually working for the opposition. And the opposition ensures that they do that. And I'll give you one example. For instance, Simi Fubara, the suspended governor of Rivers State, has been promised reinstatement. And what are the conditions for the reinstatement? The conditions for the reinstatement include: one, he will not produce any local government chairman in Rivers State. Members of his cabinet will not be appointed by him. no head of parastatal will be appointed by the governor. He has surrendered power to his godfather. And this surrendering of power was orchestrated by the Tinubu administration. Why? Because they are looking at a powerful coalition come 2027. So they want to be in total control of swing states like Rivers, Lagos, Kano. They want to be in control of the swing state. And that's why in Kano you see Kwankwaso moving to APC. In Lagos, of course, it is Tinubu's base. Then they need Rivers vote. And Wike is anchoring that point. So, you see, and Wike is not in PDP per se, but he is a kingpin in PDP. He is not in APC per se, but he is a powerhouse for APC. But he is using PDP as a platform to do the bidding of his master. So that is the problem PDP is having. Now look at the meeting they were supposed to have, I think a few days ago. The security forces said there will be no, they chased everybody out from the Wadata Plaza and so on. Just a few hours later, the group loyal to Wike was shielded by the same security personnel that drove others out. They were shielded into that hall and they had a meeting. And then we are here hearing their resolutions. And you expect the other group to go and sit down. No, it doesn't work that way. So it is to the advantage of the APC and the federal government under the control of the APC to ensure that PDP remains in crisis so that they cannot form any coalition.
Okay, and you also mentioned the external influences.
Yes.
So what external influences do you think are currently at play when it comes to PDP and this issue of defection?
The issue of defection, I've explained the issue of external influence from the point of view of what Wike is doing, what the president and the APC, what they are doing, using Wike as their pointsman. And Wike is doing his job very well. He's doing the spoiler's job very well. Now, what was the other thing you said?
The external influence.
The external influences. You see, people defecting. In Nigeria, there are so many things that define a governor's defection, a senator's defection, member of the house, anything. First of all, is that they have a dossier on all political office holders in Nigeria. And the EFCC, they have a dossier on you. So it's a question of, are you coming over? Or do we go public with your dossier? And the man says, he sees his infractions on the law. And the government says, we will protect you once you cross over and help us win the election. And the man thinks about being hounded by EFCC, the police, and security officers, and he says, I'm game. These are external forces. We may not believe it, but that is the truth. That's the truth. I have held political power before. I've served in various political positions, and I know what I am saying. I am not here to be politically correct, but to tell Nigerians this and this are obtainable in Nigerian politics, and so on.
What about Atiku? What would you say is, where would you say Atiku stands in all of this? Because PDP is Atiku's party, but it's also looking like he does not have as much hold of it, you know, the way.
Does Atiku, which politician in Nigeria today has a political party? with all due respect, Nigerian politicians can best be described as call girls, prostitutes. They go where their bread is buttered. So Atiku has been in, I think, alliance for something. He has been a serial contestant under different parties. So he cannot possibly say, you cannot possibly say Atiku is in PDP. Well, he is holding the remnants of what Wike has left behind. So, and they are thinking of other options. Is it to continue with the PDP, which Wike has effectively, cornered to himself, with the help of the APC and the federal government? So what you have today as PDP is an extension of APC. And the remnant is what you call Atiku's PDP. So there is no way PDP can rise to this challenge. And we are looking at other PDP governors, because the only remaining PDP governor in the southeast is Dr. Pitamba. And I'm happy for him, because a few days ago I read where he said that PDP is his home. So at least he has a focus that he sees political parties as vehicles. He sees his own PDP vehicle still as solid, with air conditions and so on. And until Nigerians begin to de-emphasize party and the individual in power, that perhaps could save our problem with people defecting from one party to the other.
All right, now, this push for coalition, do you think it's just one of their political gimmicks, or do you think there is actually a chance, or it's actually a serious move to challenge APC in 2027?
Yes, there is a serious challenge. But first of all, they have to cross the hurdle of forming a nationwide coalition from the ward level through the local government level to the state and to the national. They must harmonize their interests and so on. Is there a possibility of such a coalition? Yes, there is. And there are factors that can drive such coalitions. Number one is that there is a groundswell opinion by Nigerians, whether you are in the political class, economic class, anything, that Nigeria is heading towards implosion. We are at the precipice, and the earlier we save Nigeria from this choking grip, the better for this country. So that is a motivation. Number two motivation is that some or many political heavyweights feel alienated from the present system, and for them, they must come together, harmonize themselves, and wrestle power from the APC. Number three is the fact, it has to do with the manner of appointments of the present government. If you look at the manner of appointment, 90% of Tinubu's appointment came from the Southwest. And not just the Southwest, but from Lagos. And even most states in the Southwest are so disenchanted with what is happening. There is also this problem, at least among the masses, that things are going haywire, they are going wrong, and there is need to redefine Nigeria. So all these things, including the possibility of a coalition of the civil society organizations, activists, and so on. So there's a possibility of coalition. That much can be this. But what are the challenges? What are the challenges? The challenges is, if those who want to form coalition cannot reconcile their interests, reconcile their egos, and so the coalition will be dead on arrival. Number two problem is to harmonize the issue of religion and ethnicity. And for now, if any coalition should be able to distribute positions so that you know what you're fighting for. Where does the presidency go? Where does the vice presidency go? Senate president? They should know this is what we are fighting for. So they know that we have a stake in the plight of this collectivity. That this is why we are in this coalition. This power, this is what we are going to get. But that does not solve the problem. What you're going to get, how connected is it to the masses? How connected? So coalitions have failed in Nigeria because when they get power, like when APC wrested power from PDP, and their rhetorics, their narrative, their campaign narrative was pro-masses. And that was why the masses voted for them. I could hear somebody in Lagos at that time saying, even if they say Buhari has no certificate, even if he presents NEPA bill as certificate, that they will accept it. That was the extent that the masses were conscientized, mobilized to ensure that the PDP was removed from power. They connected in their narrative what the masses wanted to hear. Now, this coalition, are they going to connect to the masses and keep faith with that connection? APC has not kept faith with the connection they made. Indeed, APC has burnt its political capital, has burned its social capital. And the government from Buhari to Tinubu is getting worse by the day. It's getting worse by the day. I am not against the removal of oil subsidy, but the way and manner it was removed, because removing it would have been phased in such a way that the people would be able to take in the shock bit by bit, bit by bit. But I don't know what President Tinubu wanted to achieve by that announcement on his inauguration. And since that announcement, Nigeria has not been the same again.
Okay, now speaking of this subsidy removal, we can obviously see the way the economy is going. A lot of prices of things are going up. People can't afford even basic commodities and necessities. And now we know that Tinubu already is the APC's 2027 presidential candidate, despite all the hardship under his leadership. Now, do you think that Nigerians can still trust Tinubu again in 2027 with the way things are going?
Nigerians have never trusted Tinubu. That's a wrong assumption. So Nigerians have never trusted him. He didn't win the election. He knows. He knows he didn't win the election. So institutions, imposed him on Nigeria. So the issue of trust has not come in there. So if APC has confirmed Tinubu as their presidential candidate, that's fair and good. Of course, that's what it should be. They should be able to give him a second chance or a ticket for his second tenure and so on. But you see, in coalition formations in Nigeria, there are certain indices that you must take into account. What is the position of the North, for instance, on Tinubu's presidency? What is the position of the Southeast on Tinubu's presidency? Whether we like it or not, the North has always determined the success or failure of any political coalition in Nigeria. And this is not out of the ordinary. This is a colonially imposed political structure in Nigeria. Because in 1956, the British colonial government unilaterally gave the North 50% of the National Assembly. They gave them 50 seats. And the remaining 50 seats will be divided between the West, the East and the West. That's the South. We divide the distance. So ever since that time, the South has not been able to unite to make an input or to make an impression in the National Assembly. So when the North says, this is what we are going to do, and there are people in the North, when they speak for their people, they by issue of the social structure in the North, by issue of religion, by issue of their political awareness, the North speaks with one voice more than any other section of Nigeria. That was why at the formation of Northern People's Congress, their motto was one North, one people, one destiny. So for those who say the North, they don't know what they are doing, it is actually the reverse is the case. It is the other parts of Nigeria they don't know. The North knows what they want. So they strike political deals and ensure that they get it done. So I am expecting that the success or failure of any coalition to unseat Tinubu will be driven by the North. And if that is the case, what is the current perception of Tinubu's government in the North? The current perception of Tinubu's government in the North is that of frustration, exasperation. They are not happy. They are not happy at all. And they are not hiding their feelings. They are driving the coalition. And that should worry Tinubu.
Yes, just like you mentioned, many northern leaders are currently backing the coalition. We are seeing, most of them moving to other parties. Now, do you think that now this new alliance would possibly change the power game at play?
Yes, why not? Listen, where in Nigeria, in Nigeria's history, where has an appointee of the president supervising the conduct of election worked against the president without writing the result for president? Where? It has not happened. It is the power of coalition that is doing that. That was why Professor Atahiru Jega could supervise election that removed an incumbent from power, because he was part of the coalition. Where the coalition must ensure that they have control, either directly or surreptitiously, that they have control of the election management body, that they have control of the army, that they have control of the police, and other institutions through which the sitting government rigs elections. So it's not a child's play. It's not a child's play. So the North knows this. And I can tell you, they know how to navigate those things. They know how to navigate those things. In the South, for instance, the only states that can tell you we have delivered 1 million votes, apart from Lagos, and given its cosmopolitan nature, last election, Labour won in Lagos. Labour defeated APC. Now, if Labour defeated APC, why are those Labour members of parliament decamping to APC? It's because, first of all, they never believed in whatever Labour preached. And they are looking for a second tenure in office. And they believe the sitting government can give it to them. And that again underscores the lack of ideology and commitment by Nigerian politicians, and so on. So I can tell you, my dear, that the North, if really they mean what they are saying, then the 2027 elections will be very interesting.
Yes, and also some politicians, I think even El Rufai suggested, forming a brand new political party instead of using the old ones. So do you think it is realistic to create a new party just before the next election?
Well, yeah, why not? But the issue is registration. And INEC is empowered to register or deregister any political party. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So the issue now is, will the federal government, with the APC government at the center, use bureaucracy to frustrate the registration? If no, the possibility of a brand new political party where every other opposition group will filter in and so on. But then, there's the other option. The other option is using an already registered political party. And by doing that, every registered political party already has a leadership. So how are you going to harmonize that leadership with the diverse interests and people coming into that new party? These are challenges which a serious coalition should sit down and calibrate how to move that coalition forward. So people must be ready to trade in something if they are thinking about Nigeria. They must be able to sacrifice, trade in something to gain something. So that's what we call horse trading. So if they are doing horse trading, that will be fine. And what I give you this cup, what do I get in return? I must know. People should know what they are, going in for. Not, please, at the end of the day, we will compensate you. No. There must be specific definitions of compensation.
Okay, and now some people are also looking forward to maybe an Atiku-Obi alliance, and even Obi too has come out to say that he would like to, run for a single-term presidency. Now, do you think that Obi stands a chance in this election, and even the Atiku-Obi alliance? Do you think it stands a chance?
I know that Obi stands a chance at any time. Obi is a brand on its own. Obi is a brand on its own. So without political party, without anything, obedient movement is alive. And obedient movement is one civil society organization or civil society movement that cuts across ethnicity, religion, and all other limiting factors. So Obi stands a chance. But why must it be Atiku? Why? As far as I'm concerned, Atiku has outlived his political usefulness. So if a president is coming and Obi is flying the flag of that coalition, a more vibrant person, probably from the north, that the North trusts, should deputize him. And to that extent, you see youthfulness, vision, and focus being the cornerstone of a new political dispensation in Nigeria. Atiku has done well for himself and was political acolytes, but I think it's time for him to go and rest.
All right, and we still have, issues of insecurity. We have kidnapping, terrorism in many parts of Nigeria. Now, do you think that these security problems will decide who turns out or who emerges the winner of the 2027 election?
It depends on how you interpret as a political problem or deploying the kidnappers, terrorists, insurgents as tools. Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. So you can look at it from diverse ways. The issue of insecurity in Nigeria, as at today, is an indication of the failure of government to provide the terms of social contract. We are in a social contract that is arising from the Hobbesian state of nature. Now we are rapidly going back to the Hobbesian state of nature in Nigeria, where life is nasty, short, and brutish. And this is not good for a 20th, 21st century country that lays claim to development. So security of the issue of security yes, will play a role in who at least gets to Aso Rock. Why would it play a role? Tinubu cannot tell us. He made several promises of shutting down Boko Haram, of shutting down ethnic agitations, quelling the issue of kidnappers, banditry, and so on. Under the watch of Tinubu, for 2 years or 3 years now, Nigeria has become more insecure than ever. So the government is doing nothing. That is the truth about the matter. Is it not? In Adamawa State, for instance, recently a report came out that in 1 month, Adamawa, Bauchi, and one other, I think Yobe, has lost about 4,000 persons to kidnappers and bandits. How can that happen? Recently, a video went viral where the head of a bandit in Zamfara came for negotiation with members of Nigerian army guiding him. And he was speaking with all manner of flamboyance and dictating the pace in the presence of officers of the Nigerian army and government officials. How can a government elected by the people, or sorry, selected by the powers that be, but promising, okay, we are going to curtail this and this, how can they supervise such thing? How can Sunday Igboho, for instance, who is agitating for the establishment of an Oduduwa nation, he is holding birthday parties everywhere, he's going about free of charge. The same offense with Nnamdi Kanu. Why would you turn a blind eye to him and then continue the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu? So government policies, to a large extent, has driven insecurity in Nigeria. So for instance, if you release Nnamdi Kanu now, the issue of unknown gunmen and so on, there will be a dramatic reduction in it. This issue of sit at home will no longer be there because there will be no reason for it. There will be no reason for it. And nobody should blame Sunday Igboho or Nnamdi Kanu or any other person who is calling for the disbandment of Nigeria. Because Nigeria is such a huge country, resource blessed. And so about our leadership, look at what they have done to Nigeria. There is need for political hygiene in Nigeria if there must be a Nigerian. And we must tell ourselves the truth, that there is need for political hygiene. People should be able to remove their hand from the commonwealth and stop stealing Nigeria blind. So when there is obscene display of ill-gotten wealth, and that is why we are losing our youths. We are losing them. We have lost so many generations. Because they now see that the only thing that will make you respectable in Nigeria is to get money. How you get this money is irrelevant. And it is playing into our institutions of higher learning. We are losing Nigeria, and we are proudly losing it. So there is need for hygiene in every sector of Nigeria. Otherwise, there will be problem. And I'm not saying it because I hate anybody. The indices on ground indicate that Nigeria will have a serious problem if we don't have a rethink and turn a new leaf.
Yeah, and speaking of that, a lot of people, civil groups, citizens, they are of the opinion that democracy is in danger, dare I say even dead in Nigeria.
Yes.
So what do you think can be done to even win back the trust of the people, to even come out to participate in, electoral activities, looking towards the election?
That's the hygiene we are talking about. That's the hygiene we are talking about. Because I don't blame our people. They cast their vote. They stand under the sun. They cast their vote. And they know who they voted for. And some people somewhere will just manufacture figures and announce another person. So their frustration is explainable, and so how do we win them back? First of all, my people have a saying: if you have a piece of meat, if you're chewing a piece of meat, your jaws will not rest until you are finished crushing and swallowed. So Nigeria is work in progress. So we will not, because people are manipulating our votes, we will not say we will not do that. But we must learn to protect our votes and so on. And the leadership, for instance, must also show commitment to say, if you lose, you lose. This is not life and death matter. So winning back their confidence is a kind of people protecting their votes. You see, when they talk about death of democracy, every democracy is a dictatorship. Because at the end of the day, it's only a group of people, select group of people, under the principle of delegated legitimacy. They sit down and then say, we have said. So every democracy is a dictatorship. But why is democracy the best form of government? It is the best form of government because it gives everybody the opportunity to say, you are going to be my leader. You are not going to be my leader. And then it is expected that that decision should be respected. It's not being respected in Nigeria. It's not being respected in democracy is dying if it has not died in Nigeria. And where democracies die, the people take their liberties in their hands and fight for their own freedom. That is the crux of the French Revolution of 1776. That's the crux of it. It's in all the revolutions in history, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia and all those revolutions we have had. History is generous with examples that those, even among the elite of those you call the superiors, inferiors or superiors revolt that they may be equal, and the inferiors revolt that they may be equal. Aristotle said so thousands of years ago. And if you're a student of political science or political philosophy, there is what we call the allegory of the cave, Plato's allegory of the cave. For those who do not know, let them go and Google it and know what. And when people emerge from that cave, and so on, what they do is can only be imagined, because people have been in cave, and when they come out to see the sunlight, they will want to explore the sunlight. Now, the political class in Nigeria, we have been so cocooned. They've taken the people for a ride, and the people will one day say, we've had enough. We've had enough. And everybody will run away. And we've had test cases of that in Nigeria. SARS protests should serve as an indicator for Nigerian political leaders that there could be a spontaneous uprising in Nigeria. Because, let me tell you, people are dying. People are dying. They cannot access health care. They cannot access food. They cannot access ordinary sachet water. Go to UNTH. Every moment you hear people cry because they cannot provide money to buy drugs for their relations that are ill. And because they cannot buy drugs, the person dies and they start crying. That mortuary is filled up. Every mortuary in Enugu State is filled up. And in Nigeria and so on, people are walking, they slump and die because they are thinking of what Nigeria is in dire straits. And we die, we keep pretending that Nigeria is slightly indisposed.
Now, we know that, the court played a big role in the 2023 election.
Yes.
So what What exactly would you say is the influence of the court when it comes to elections and election results? And is it possible to trust Nigerian courts to have free, to be fair, you know, with their judgments in the coming elections?
The greatest problem facing democratic consolidation in Nigeria is Nigeria's judiciary. Nigeria's judiciary has sold its credibility. It has thrown its crown among the pigs. It has removed every sense of fairness, justice, as it should be. St. Augustine of Hippo talked about two cities, the city of God and the city of man. The Nigerian judiciary is residing in the city of man, where corruption, avarice, perversion of truth reigns supreme. And I'm advising them to move to the city of God. Nigerian judiciary dispenses justice according to the depth of your pocket. The Bible in Ezekiel, it says, woe unto them that call black white, or that call night day. The Nigerian judiciary should hide itself, its face in shame. They have done more than even political thugs, bandits, and so on, in entrenching what we have today in Nigeria. It is their shame that Nigeria is like this, because they have rationalized the irrationalable, what can never be rationalized. They look for technical terms to justify even things that are there are too many things I don't want to say on public television, but the point is that the Nigerian judiciary stinks. It is putrid, it is rotten. With all due respect, there are good people there, but the good people are so minor that the ravenous, corrupt judicial officers have taken over. Why is it that judges, lawyers, immediately after every election, they even give bribe to be appointed as members of election petition tribunals? These politicians, they bring money. They bring money in sacks to them. Most of them, all through their career, they may not have had 100 million, 200 million. They may not have seen it. And it is there, live for you. This is your money. And they say, oh, God will understand, and so on. This is terrible. It's a terrible thing. If you read Ziplat's book, How Democracies Die, you will see that the judiciary is a gatekeeper of democracy. Where the gatekeeper of democracy fails to gatekeep democracy, all manner of impurities go in and destroys the broth.
Okay, and just very quickly before we go now, would you, some people are of the opinion that the ruling party may probably use their influence of power, money to, you know, weaken the opposition. And can you speak to that? Do you think?
Yeah, that's what they are doing. That's what they are working against, any coalition. That's what they are doing. Nobody who, they said those who have tested the Nile water will always say that the Nile is great and will not want to leave the Nile. That is a statement that can be credited to Dr. Paul Brunton in his book, A Search in Sacred Egypt. Those who have drank from the Nile will not want to drop the cup. They will want to keep drinking. So yes, they want to be there. They want to be there. I don't know if you have ever enjoyed, you know, just a glimpse of the allures of power. You will not want to give it up. So APC is fighting the fight of its life. But the point is that the fight of its life cannot approximate to Nigeria's life. APC has failed. I pray that a coalition that will come will be different and not like other coalitions. I pray for Nigeria every day, and I know God will hear.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malachi Ochie, for this very wonderful discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See Nature TV. News in your pocket.